Funny thing about time, everyone thinks they have more of it. They push things to tomorrow, next week, next year, like the clock's some kind of obedient little pet that waits for their command. But then comes that moment, that voice you can't ignore, telling you it's now, not later, not when you feel ready, now. And you realize every excuse you've been holding on to was just fear in a pretty costume. Because the truth is, the longer you wait, the more life slips right through your fingers. People love to dress up fear in nice little outfits. They call it patience, planning, waiting for the right time. Makes it sound noble, even wise. But strip away the pretty words and what do you have? Just fear, crouching in the corner, whispering that maybe tomorrow will be better. And so you listen because fear has a soothing voice when it wants to. It tells you there's no rush, that the world isn't going anywhere, that you have plenty of time. But time is a cruel little liar. You only realize that when you look back and see how much of it you've already traded away for nothing. The right time is the easiest lie to sell yourself because it feels like you're doing something. Because you're doing something. You convince yourself you're preparing, getting things in order, making sure all the pieces fit. But deep down, you know that's not the truth. You're not preparing. You're stalling. You're afraid to start. Because starting means risking failure, risking pain, risking change. And people hate change, even the good kind. It's easier to tell yourself you're not ready, that you need just a little more time, a little more certainty, a little more whatever. It's always little more. The problem is the meter's running, and you don't even see the numbers ticking up. Fear is clever. It knows you won't admit to being scared, so it dresses itself up as logic. It tells you to wait until things calm down. Wait until you're financially stable. Wait until you're emotionally ready. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Reasonable enough to keep you in the same place for years. Reasonable enough to keep you safe. But safe is just another word for stuck. And the truth is, there's no magical moment where everything lines up perfectly. Life doesn't hand you a neat little invitation saying, "Congratulations, you're ready now." Readiness is a myth. And the people who keep waiting for it die with their bags still unpacked. What's worse is how good you get at justifying it. You build entire stories in your head about why it's not the right time. You say you're waiting for the market to be better, waiting until the kids are older, waiting for the right partner, waiting for the stars to align. And while you wait for the stars, the days keep passing, the years pile up, and before you know it, you're not waiting for the right time anymore. You're waiting for time itself to run out so you can stop feeling guilty about wasting it. And you know what's really sick about it. That little voice telling you to wait, it's not protecting you. It's killing you slowly. Every day you delay, something inside you shrinks a little. That spark you had when the idea first hit you, it dims. That fire you felt when you thought, I could do this, it cools. You start to believe maybe it wasn't such a good idea after all. Maybe you weren't cut out for it. And then one day, you don't even feel the urge to try anymore. Not because you don't want to, but because you've convinced yourself you can't. It's almost funny how people think they're being cautious when really they're just letting fear win in slow motion. Caution is taking a breath before you jump, waiting for the right time is sitting down and convincing yourself the jump was never worth it to begin with. And the tragedy is, by the time you realize the truth, you're older, heavier with regret, and wishing you could go back to the moment you first thought about it and just do it. But you can't. The door's closed. And you don't get a second knock. Because here's the secret. There is no right time. There's only now. And now doesn't wait. The people who make things happen aren't the ones who felt ready. They're the ones who acted while their hands were still shaking, while their stomachs were still turning. They moved before the fear could build its walls. They understood that waiting is just another way of saying never in a softer voice. And the longer you hide behind the idea of perfect timing, the more certain it becomes that you'll never start at all opportunities. They're tricky little things. They don't knock politely and wait for you to open the door. No. They show up unannounced. Maybe when you're tired. Maybe when you're distracted. Maybe when you're least prepared. And if you hesitate, if you tell yourself you'll deal with it later, they vanish. Just like that. No warning, no second chance, no forwarding address. People like to believe that if they miss one chance, another will come along. But that's not always true. Some doors only open once in a lifetime, and when they close, they stay shut. It's almost comical how people think they can outsmart timing. They tell themselves, if it's meant to be, it'll come back. That's just another bedtime story we tell ourselves to feel better about letting something slip away. The truth is, life doesn't operate on your schedule. It doesn't pause and wait for you to get comfortable. And opportunities, they have a way of punishing hesitation. They're like shadows at sunset, linger too long, and they disappear into the dark. The cruel part is, you don't always recognize an opportunity for what it is until it's gone. Sometimes it shows up disguised as hard work or risk or discomfort. And you think, not now, I'll deal with this later. But later turns into never. And you're left staring at the empty space where something great used to be. It's funny, isn't it? How the best things in life often come wrapped in inconvenience. They don't arrive neatly packaged with a label saying, "This is your moment." They arrive messy, demanding, and impatient. People waste years waiting for an opportunity that looks perfect, while ignoring the imperfect ones that could have changed everything. They stand still, thinking the big break will arrive gift wrapped, not realizing that the real magic happens when you grab what's in front of you. Even if it's ugly, even if it's hard, even if it scares you. Because the truth is, opportunity rarely looks the way you expect. Sometimes it looks like failure in the making. Sometimes it looks like a risk that could ruin you. But that's the point. It's supposed to scare you. If it didn't, everyone would take it, and it wouldn't be worth anything. You see, life rewards the bold, not the cautious. And bold doesn't mean reckless. It means moving before you feel ready. Stepping into the unknown without waiting for certainty. Because certainty is a luxury you can't afford when it comes to opportunity. By the time you're sure, the moment's gone. That's why hesitation is so deadly. Every second you spend overthinking is another second the chance slips further out of reach. And life doesn't rewind for anyone. The most dangerous thing about opportunities is that they don't announce themselves with fanfare. They slip in quietly, almost unnoticed. And if you're too focused on the wrong things, you'll miss them entirely. And sometimes you don't even realize you missed one until years later. When you're lying awake at night, replaying that moment in your head and thinking, what if? That's the kind of thought that eats at you slow and steady until it's too late to do anything about it. People will tell you that opportunities are everywhere, and in a way, they're right. But the truth is, not every opportunity is for you, and not everyone will come back. Some are once in a lifetime. Some are right now or never. And if you're not paying attention, if you're too busy waiting for life to hand you something easy, you'll watch them pass you by. And the thing about life is, it doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't care if you're scared. It only cares if you act. The irony is, most people think they're playing it safe when they let an opportunity go. They think they're avoiding risk, avoiding failure, but in reality, they're choosing a slower, quieter kind of loss. The kind that doesn't sting right away, but lingers for years. And one day, they wake up and realize they didn't avoid failure at all. They just failed in advance, without even trying. And that's the kind of failure you can't fix. Because the door's not just closed, it's gone. All because they thought there'd be another knock, another moment, another chance to get it right. Urgency. It's like a fire that either burns you alive or forges you into something unbreakable. Most people avoid it because they don't like the heat. They tell themselves they'll act when they're ready, when the stars align, when life feels a little calmer. But that's the lie. Life never slows down for you. There will always be noise, chaos, and reasons to delay. Urgency is what cuts through all of that. It forces you to move, not because you want to, but because you have no choice. And when you have no choice, that's when you discover what you're really capable of. The funny thing about urgency is that it doesn't care about your comfort. In fact, it thrives on making you uncomfortable. It puts a clock in your head, a relentless ticking that makes your heart beat faster, your breath gets shorter. And that ticking, it's not your enemy. It's your wake-up call. It's the sound of the moment slipping away, daring you to keep wasting time. People run from that sound because it feels like pressure. But the truth is, pressure is exactly what shapes you. Diamonds don't form in comfort. They're born under crushing force. So is action. When urgency hits you, you stop overthinking. There's no time for the perfect plan, no time to wait for all the answers. You have to decide now. And that's where most people break. They've been trained to believe they need permission, validation, some kind of guarantee before they move. But urgency doesn't hand out guarantees. It hands you a loaded moment and says, do something. And in that moment, you either step forward or you watch the door slam shut. The longer you wait, the heavier that door gets, until eventually you can't move it at all. People confuse urgency with recklessness, but they're not the same. Recklessness is jumping without looking. Urgency is looking, knowing the risks, and jumping anyway, because standing still will cost you more. It's choosing movement over stagnation, action over excuses. And the best part, urgency doesn't care if you feel ready. It doesn't wait for your self-doubt to fade or your fear to shrink. It demands action now, fear and all. And here's the truth. Most of the best decisions you'll ever make will scare the hell out of you when you make them. That's how you know they matter. The danger of ignoring urgency is that time has no mercy. Every second you hesitate is a second you can't get back. And the cruel part, you rarely notice the loss until it's too late. You think you're just delaying, buying yourself a little breathing room, but in reality, you're bleeding opportunities onto the floor. You can't see it, but it's happening. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the moment you needed to move wasn't next week or next month. It was that exact second you decided to wait. Urgency is honest. It strips away all your illusions about control. You think you're in charge of the timing, but you're not. Life decides when the moment comes, and it's never as convenient as you want it to be. And when that moment shows up, it doesn't care about your schedule, your excuses, or your comfort zone. It's a now or never deal. Take it or it's gone. And the worst part, you won't always see the consequences immediately. Sometimes they creep in slowly, like a shadow growing longer, until one day you realize you're standing in the dark and the light you could have stepped into is long gone. Some people live their whole lives waiting for a perfect moment that never arrives. They sit, they plan, they dream, but they never act because they never feel urgent enough. They think they're protecting themselves from failure, but what they're really doing is guaranteeing it. Without urgency, there's no push, no pressure, no reason to leap. And without the leap, nothing changes. That's why urgency is a gift, even if it feels like a threat. It's the world telling you, move now, or you'll lose more than you can imagine. And the cruel irony is, you won't understand how much you lost until you realize it's too late to get it back.